This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Don't forget to view our spoiler-free companion video on our Half Past Podcast channel on YouTube. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 63, the movie review of Wonder Woman. We will also talk about the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. Yes. I'm Graham Ricks, and here with me is my friend and co-pilot, Ian Jones.
Wonder Woman, I want that guitar solo. I want this music on my phone so that when people hear it and I'm out in public, everyone looks around to see Wonder Woman's about to show up and start kicking some ass.
Oh yeah, man. And there's a lot of that in this movie. It's pretty awesome.
Yes, staying on point. Staying on point, my friend.
You know, we've been away for a little while here because we've just been so busy. Our schedules haven't been lining up.
It's good to be back.
Oh yeah, it feels great. I always love getting the recording on. So let's go ahead and just get into Spider-Man. All right. So, Spider-Man Homecoming. So we're coming back for this trailer here, and I'm actually really excited about this one. I just have a few things that I want to say about it. One of them is the only thing I'm a little concerned about is I see the scene again where he's having to kind of make a choice and hold something together with his webs, which has happened in a lot of the other ones, and that's kind of classic Spider-Man anyway. But it just seems like he always gets stuck doing something like that in all the other versions of Spider-Man that we've seen. And there's been quite a few, oddly enough, just in our lifetime. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But the one thing that I have to say about the thing that I really enjoyed about the trailer, and this is kind of coming from me just really, I'm one of the few people I feel like that really enjoyed Iron Man 3. And it's because of the progression of that character all the way into it, where he is basically Iron Man at the end of the movie, which a lot of people feel like he gave up as Iron Man, but really it's him becoming Iron Man again after dealing with all the other crap that he's dealt with. And the reason why I bring all that up is because he says something very distinct in the episode, or not the episode, but in the trailer. He specifically tells Spider-Man, he's just like, if you are nothing more than this suit, then you don't deserve to wear it. And I thought that was very appropriate for somebody like Iron Man to say to him. And I just I like that aspect to it already. And I'm hoping there's a little more than that, even though some people are really concerned how much, Iron Man and everything looks like he's going to be in this movie.
Right. I really don't think he's going to be in it that often.
I don't think so either.
And this is a big deal. It's a big deal to have Iron Man in a Sony movie.
Yes, it is.
And we're not going to have... It looks like maybe they're not going to be teaming up that much. But, if Homecoming does extremely well, and it probably should...
Yes.
Then it would be interesting to see if Sony re-ups this deal.
Yeah, that would be great.
And keeps this version of the character. Because I already... I really like it just from... what I've seen.
Oh yeah, it just with the trailer and even seeing this version of Spider-Man in Civil War, I really enjoy this whole this version of Spider-Man. I feel like they got more accurate, and it just feels right. Everything feels right about this character, and this Homecoming thing feels great too. Now, the other thing I wanted to say, I guess, is when it comes to the Homecoming name, do you think that this movie's going to be about him coming back from Civil War and having to get back into his normal life? Because he just helped the Avengers in a sequence during Civil War, and then now he's coming back to where he's just Peter Parker again, essentially.
Right. Well, it could be that, but it could have some. I mean, I think it's sort of a cheeky title, to be honest with you, because this is him coming back to Marvel Studios, A.
Yes.
And I think, B, it probably plays into whatever the Act 2 and the Act 3 is for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get the feeling that most of that isn't there.
Okay.
Because it just seems like when he's chasing down Vulture. That's pretty early on.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the third act hasn't really been shown. And if it has, it might just be he and Iron Man flying off to go and face whatever they're going to face. But something tells me that Spider-Man has to do whatever he needs to do on his own for Act 3. So
that's what I would think also.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that Tony Stark is in it at the very beginning. And he shows up during Act 2 after, Parker screws up and he's already gone after these guys on his own.
Yeah.
So
that's the kind of feeling I get also.
Yeah. It just seems really cool. I like the story. I like that they've got some new characters in it. Yeah. And it's not everything that it's not the same stuff that we've seen before.
Yeah. So I'm definitely excited about this one. It'll be fun to watch this one and give it a review.
Did you catch the Black Panther trailer?
I did not catch the I did not catch the Black Panther trailer. All right. I haven't heard anything about it at all, actually.
I thought it looks just really cool.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'm interested. Maybe we can talk, sneak that in next time.
Oh yeah, maybe we can sneak that in next time. I definitely wanted to watch it, but you know me, I don't watch trailers.
Right, yeah. This is just a teaser. It doesn't really show. It doesn't really give anything away, but it is really stylish, and it's a huge departure from I think the other stuff,
which is good because I really like that director. He's the one that did like Creed and everything. So so I really like that guy as a director. So far, he's been really good in all of his movies. So hopefully, it continues on in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
All right, got anything else about Spider-Man?
That's it for Spider-Man.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're going to get into Wonder Woman here.
All right.
When a pilot crashes and tells of conflict in the outside world, Diana, Princess of the Amazons, leaves home to fight a war to end all wars, discovering her full powers and true destiny.
Whoa. That sounds pretty epic.
I know, right?
Are we talking about a DC movie?
Right? That's such a crazy thing, man. This movie's directed by Patty Jenkins, who has been on a break for a long time. The last movie she did was Monster, which was back in 2003, I think.
Oh wow, that was a
long time ago. Other than that, she's been doing TV stuff, and so she did the pilot for The Killing. And I remember when I first watched the pilot, which you can watch on Netflix. It's an awesome little show, and that first pilot episode is really good, and it's filmed really well and really beautifully. And so it's kind of one of those things where she definitely shows her artistic side in that movie. This one, not so much, but but in The Killing, she definitely shows that part of her. This movie starring, let's see here, Gal Gadot, I believe is how you pronounce that. Gal Gadot. So as Diana. She's in the Fast and the Furious in the movie Date Night. So she hasn't done a whole lot of stuff. Her filmography is really small. And so that's probably the one she's been known for the most, which is kind of strange.
She's going to be able to do whatever she wants now.
Oh, yeah, she will. Definitely. Chris Pine is Steve Trevor, who is obviously from Star Trek, Smoking Aces, and Rise of the Guardians.
Wow.
What?
Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah, he played Jack
Fly around,
Frost.
you little owl.
No, that's the other one. You're thinking of the wrong Guardians. You're thinking of the Guardians of the one they make fun of in 30 Rock.
What is Rise of the Guardians?
Rise of the Guardians is the one that has it's got Santa Claus and Jack Frost.
That's even worse.
Oh yeah, this movie's not good. And it's the Easter Bunny, and it's I think it's a DreamWorks movie, and it was a while ago, and it was not good. The next actor we have here is Connie Nielsen as Hippolyta. She was in Devil's Advocate, Gladiator and Mission to Mars. She also shows up in Law and Order for a little bit. That's when I've seen her the most, is Law and Order, because I'm one of those people that have seen.
You're a Law and Order punk.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Law and Order.
What a waste of a Friday night. Sorry, I got plans Friday night. And Graham's doubled over on his desk laughing because he knows it's true. I wish I was recording that.
Fantastic.
Head down on his desk.
Oh, man. Robin Wright as Antiope. She was in The Princess Bride, Unbreakable, and of course she's in House of Cards. Have you been watching House of Cards?
No, but of course she's in The Princess Bride.
Yes.
That was driving me crazy.
Yes.
Of course that's her, now that you say it.
Yep, that is her from The Princess Bride.
All right.
Danny Huston as Ludendorff. He was in The Aviator, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Clash of the Titans.
Wasn't he also in that vampire movie?
Yes.
God, I'm 20,
I know which one you're talking about.
Something like
something like that. I can't remember the title, but yeah, he was in that too.
That was a really cool take. It was that Josh Hartnett one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
I can't remember the name of it though.
Yeah. Okay.
David, I believe it's David Thewlis as Sir Patrick. He was in Dragonheart, The Big Lebowski, and of course Harry Potter.
Yes. Professor Lupin.
Syed Tegmawi, I believe is how you say that, as Samir. He was in Three Kings and a ton of like French movies. Like he did a lot of those throughout. He's like French and Moroccan.
Yes, he is Moroccan.
Yeah, he's Moroccan. Yeah. Ewan Bremer as Charlie. He's in Trainspotting, Black Hawk Down, and Pearl Harbor. And this guy I remember seeing before, and I couldn't figure out what it was from, but it's Eugene Brave Rock as the Chief. And he's on the TV series Hell on Wheels, which I've seen just sporadically for some random reason. He always shows, and I was trying to figure out where I'd seen that guy before, and that's definitely what it is. But that's his only thing that he's done is that.
That's that show that has the guy with the fake beard.
Oh man! Last one here is Elena Anaya as Dr. Maru, or Dr. Poison. And she's pretty much only been in a ton of Spanish movies, and that's all she's done. So it's a bunch I've never heard of. They all have Spanish titles, so I haven't seen any of them. And that's all we have here. So you got anything else real quick before we go on a break, Jones?
No.
All right, so let's go ahead and go on a break, and then we can really get into the nitty gritty here for Wonder Woman. All right, Jones, we're back here. Let's go ahead and get into our quirks and likes section. So let's start with my quirks here. I don't have a bunch of quirks in this movie, but some things I just kind of bother me about this movie, and they're minor things. I don't think they really hurt the movie that much.
Okay.
But it was enough for me to just be annoyed by little things. The first thing is, the thing that bothered me the most is there are some basic little filmmaking problems that I have throughout this movie, which kind of disappoints me with this director, because I've seen her do other work. It's kind of like the very beginning of the movie, where the slow motion I think is really overdone in this movie. There's so many scenes, and I feel like the best part of it is to use it sporadically and use it more in iconic moments, kind of like when the young Diana first sees the Amazons fighting and training. I love the slow motion there because it shows how powerful and graceful all the Amazons are. And so I think that is something that's really good. But then you have other scenes where it's just do you really need to put this in slow motion? I don't think it's really needed. When you see her in the first time in the costume, awesome freaking scene. It looks great. It's in slow motion. It's great. But this one, there's just a lot of scenes where I feel like they just didn't need to be there.
Are you talking about fight sequence scenes? Or?
Yes, fight sequence scenes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of them in there, and it just gets old. I thought it got really old as I was moving forward throughout this movie because they just kind of pop in throughout, and I think sometimes you just need to keep the action going. Some scenes are shot kind of awkwardly, and some scenes are just like the acting's just not very good. I think the biggest problem I have when it comes to the acting are two things. One, Ludendorff, Danny Huston as that character is so strange. Like, the accent's really weird, and there's just a lot of scenes in there that's just like, man, why does everything just seem like kind of cheesy? Do you know what I'm saying when I say that? It's just like, with this German accent, it's just like really cheesy sounding.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I the only one that notices this? It just seemed like they're just
my girlfriend said something about, we didn't get to go and see it together. We went and saw Pirates together, which was a mistake. We should have went to Wonder Woman, clearly. But she mentioned it being cheesy. I should have asked what she thought exactly. She was like, well, there's cheesy parts.
There are.
In it. And I really didn't cheesy parts. Take that away. I mean, I suppose there's always cheesy stuff in, superhero, like, let's hear it for Captain America type.
Yeah.
Stuff where you're just like, you're kidding me, but it's got to be in the movie,
But the thing with those kind of things, it's like some of it is kind of endearing and charming, and this one it pushes it over into more of annoyance for me.
I mean, specifically, can you give me something other than?
Well, even just the accent with Danny Huston, like it just that German accent. It's just like this really stereotypical. It's like it's not like an actor doing an accent. It's like if I tried to do a German accent.
Oh, okay.
It's just not.
Wow, that's not a good endorsement for that particular actor. His ability to do accents, which is weird because he sort of looks like maybe he would.
It was. I definitely had little issues like that. But one of the other things that I thought that this again, these are like basic filmmaking things, and it's like some of the scenes are shot kind of awkwardly, and then like there's that sequence when she storms the machine guns and she has her bracers up. And this happens a lot with Miss Godot here. I think she does a good job, and I think this has to do with her experience as an actor, where she doesn't do this a lot. But pretty much any time there was something that was not actually there, so something that was blue screen or computer generated for her to use, she doesn't know how to quite react to it properly. And I saw that a lot throughout this movie. And there's one scene that I thought was shot really awkwardly because of that. It's kind of when she's blocking the machine gun bullets with her bracers. She keeps looking at her bracers, and I can get that she's getting stronger and gaining her powers as she gets up. So I definitely understand why she's kind of like looking at her bracers. She's kind of realizing she can do more than she thinks she can. It just seems like that sequence is just so weird. It's kind of like even when she has like the lasso, all of those scenes are really like it moves really awkwardly, and and she just kind of doesn't have the same feeling that it should have when she's acting, when she's holding something that kind of isn't really there. It's it's all this extra stuff that gets added in post. And I think she just struggles with that, and I think that she'll obviously get way better with that if she keeps doing these Wonder Woman movies, which I'm assuming that she will continue to do.
Yeah, they would be crazy not to do two more of these.
Oh yeah, right? It'd be crazy. I'm sure we'll probably at least get a trilogy after the success of this one. The only other thing that I have to say is another just stupid, weird little thing is I was thoroughly annoyed with Dr. Poison's mask thing.
Okay.
I just, Dr. Poison, I remember, I'm not crazy familiar with DC characters or with Wonder Woman in general, but when you look at her character in the comic books, most of the time what's covered is her eyes. She always has, a mask on, every version of her. And instead, they decided to keep her eyes, open, and they just put this weird, half thing on it, which I thought was really strange decision to do that.
That could have been, and I'm just throwing this out there, that could have had something to do with the actress.
I guess that's possible also.
Because I really felt like in that one scene where she and, Steve, he's like he's like infiltrated that party. Yeah. I really felt like her eyes were really super expressive.
That's perfectly fine, and I totally understand that. I think and there's a lot of skill that involves acting with your eyes. There's only a certain amount of actors that are really good at that. And I get what you're talking about with that scene. But I almost feel like even if you had the mask, you could still see her eyes. It's just covering up the top part of her face and not the bottom part of her face. So it's kind of a weird decision why they decided to do that. And it just bothered me. It just seemed weird because her mouth moved strangely, and it was just like a weird decision that's not necessarily has to do with the character itself. I do like how they expose it at the end of the movie, because it's almost like she's starting to see the more faults in humans at the end. You know what I mean? So I really like how they did that.
Wasn't there one of the things about this which I thought was odd, and I didn't stay all the way till the end of the credits, but at some point I saw footage of Dr. Maru and Wonder Woman like fighting in the future, and I don't recall seeing any of those.
I don't know where you saw that footage.
It was like them on top of a skyscraper.
I have no idea where you found
a white tile. Okay.
Are you talking about you saw it during the movie, or are you talking about just through
I think
search?
It was like an early version of the trailer or some stuff that got released.
It might have even been it could have been a test shot, or it could have been something that cut, because I'm sure this movie had a couple of reshoots, I'm sure.
Okay.
It just seems like Hollywood's starting to get more in the habit of reshooting things. They're like, if we reshoot some of these things, it looks like we make more money. It just seems like that's becoming more and more of a thing, where they're just kind of shooting a lot of things. The only other thing I have to say, and this is another stupid thing, but I don't recall, even when he was in The Lasso of Truth, I don't recall Chris Pine ever saying he was American. Do you remember anything on here that stated that he was American? Because he clearly was working for British intelligence.
Well, initially he says he's with the United States.
Okay, so he does say that.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so for the whole time I'm like, I do not remember him saying that he's from the United States. And I don't remember them ever bringing it up, like him going to his bosses and saying that, we took you on loan from the United States because blah, blah, blah. There's not that scene.
I guess historically it sort of makes sense because it's the end of the war and we didn't get involved until...
Yes, till the end.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, towards the end of the war. And it just, so the whole time I thought it was so weird that I'm like looking at it, I'm like, shouldn't he have a British accent? But it's like the whole time, he's like the most American.
We don't want Chris Pine doing a British accent.
Well, obviously, but my thing is did they decide to just forego that, or did they write it in? So it looked like they actually wrote it in, as he does say.
That is what he says.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I swear the whole time I'm like, because Chris Pine, let's face it, he's the most American-looking guy.
He's apple pie American.
Oh yeah.
He's a Cracker Jack. Put him on the box in a funny blue sailor suit. Let's do this.
Oh man, that is a great interpretation of Chris Pine. All right, go ahead, Joe. Right. What are your cards?
And pass. All right. The thing that got me, and this is such a Hollywood movie thing, but Wonder Woman's hair, is magazine cover ready at all times.
Yes, it is,
and it's even over the top because it's trestled and it's so perfect after she's just gotten done running through a building and completely breaking it down to its foundation. You remember that scene where she jumps right through the bell tower or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
She comes out, she's got no debris on her at all. She never has any scrapes.
It's that
you know,
it's that demigod in her.
I know it is, and that's what my girlfriend said. My girlfriend was like, well, but she's Wonder Woman, so I was like, yeah, but still, I still would like to see her, because I think it would be cool to see her, like, check her reflection in a mirror, you know, like that's a commonly perfect thing to do, and for someone to do after that, and I thought that would have been a sweet moment.
Okay,
but, you know, and I feel like that's something maybe they could build on.
Okay,
but I don't like the argument that, well, it's because she's Wonder Woman.
Well, she is a demigod, though.
Right.
I'll have to tell you. Her hair's perfect
but I don't
at all
like that.
times.
I don't like the argument.
But I definitely get the whole, like, not having debris or anything on
Not
her.
having anything on her.
And then even, like, scrapes. I mean, they show a scene earlier in the movie where she gets cut. And then the nurse, when they're in Themyscira, the little nurse lady takes off the bandage that has blood on it, and then she's healed.
Right.
So there's definitely a time period where she can take damage.
Yes. Yeah.
But clearly, that doesn't really continue through the rest of the movie.
No,
it's just like that.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that.
You don't notice the hair so much because it's pinned back. You know, it's up.
Yes.
As it should be during all the training stuff.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was really that World War, you know, when she gets into the World War environment.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's sort of a little thing, but it was something that I kept zeroing in on.
All right.
One of the things was that the reveal of Sir Patrick as Ares didn't surprise me whatsoever.
No.
And I kind of felt like he was the moment we saw him on screen and he got involved, because I just felt like that's too big of an actor to all of a sudden have. And
see, that's what I totally get what you mean, because he is a big actor, and so it makes a whole lot of sense that he's going to have a bigger part. And that's kind of unfair for the filmmakers, because it's just the actor. But the thing that I noticed when I finally noticed that, like, the thing that was the tell within the movie was when he helps them, when they're all in the bar and he shows up and he helps them. I'm like, oh, this guy's no good. I knew it. Yeah. It just seemed like, well, why would he do that? And him talking to the secretary woman also kind of pushed me further into that. And I'm like, okay, what's with this guy? And so I felt like that throughout that time period. And that was the tell for me.
But sort of along those lines is that there's an aspect to this movie which was actually going to be in my likes, but you know, as you're sitting there watching it, you know that Ares isn't the problem, and that's what Chris Pine was trying to convey, and that's even what Diana's mother had said too. Well, I mean, she didn't say, but she was really hinting at the fact that, you know, mankind isn't worth saving.
Yeah, mankind doesn't deserve.
Yeah, right. Doesn't deserve you.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like her mom knew that it wasn't just Ares who was the problem. Like, Diana sort of jumped all over that right away. Yes. But, I mean, that was like a bedtime story more than anything. And I got that vibe from her mom, from the Queen, that that wasn't really what her concern was. I just felt like that was more of a philosophical thing, you know, because they have this sword, which isn't really the weapon, and I think her mom knew that anyway.
I think she did too.
You know, so I really feel like her mom knew that humans and mankind were really the problem. And I think that gets discussed. I think that gets paid off in the movie. But then there's a little bit of a Chicken Little moment where the sky is falling, and then it actually is falling because Ares is involved with the movie.
Yes.
And so
it almost ruins the payoff.
Things.
Yeah. It almost ruins the payoff a little bit because it's like, well, Ares was involved.
Right,
so
he was
it's like,
involved.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
But there's a good, but I felt like, there is that moment between, where she finally, I think, starts to get us a little bit.
Yes.
And then there's this incredible scene between her and Ares where you just then, at that point, forget about the sky is falling kind of crap.
Yes.
But, that was sort of the other thing where I felt like, well, there's a lesson here that's being learned, and then it gets completely shoved aside for the fact that Ares is like whispering in everyone's ear.
Yeah.
So that's it for me as far as quirks.
All right, so we got some pretty small quirks here. So I guess we enjoyed the movie. So let's go ahead and get into the likes then. I thought this movie was a really good origin story, and I think it stays mostly true to her character and her becoming Wonder Woman through this process. Because I like all the little hints you get as Diana as a person. Even when she's young Diana, she's a handful. She jumps off something and she doesn't care. Like, she's fearless. She wants to fight. And all of that is just in her character. And that's who Wonder Woman is. And that's who we got when we watched Batman vs. Superman. You got the warrior, the Amazon warrior that you wanted. You don't have that here for this one because she's learning who she is. And I think that right there is one of the things that I absolutely loved about this movie, is it definitely had that progression to where she is a completed warrior at the end. With that said, the other thing I love that stays true to the character is that she fights for love. And the thing that's so awesome about this is that is another part of her character. That's what the Amazons are there for, is they're there to show that there's a positive side to what Zeus is doing. And so that's always kind of been a part of her character, that she fights for that. And the thing I really love about that scene is because it's done via this really cool thing with Trevor, with Steve Trevor, where she remembers what he said to her and that he loves her, and that's what unleashes her. That's where she gains all of her power right then and there. And so you get this really awesome, like, just unleashed scene, and then she just starts taking everybody the hell out immediately, like really fast. Just taking everybody the hell out. And that sequence is just I love that whole section of that movie, because it not only does it show her gaining her full potential, but it shows her very natural ability to fight for something like love. And that's something that's really good for her character, because that's what it is. That's who it is.
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this was one of my likes too, but I felt like this version of the character was so spot on, because even in like the animated series,
yes,
I feel like they go too far to where she's sort of in this corner where she has to be a strong woman, and they never give her a love interest.
Yes.
And everything she says is really cold and very stern and everything like that.
Yeah.
But by doing that, by introducing this character, I thought it gave Diana balance. And I think that's balance a lot of times that I don't even remember seeing in the comic books.
Well, the thing is in the comics, Steve Trevor has always been a thing, and he's always, for the most part, from what I remember, been a love interest. It's just they haven't shown that in any other versions. It shows it in the comic books, but it doesn't necessarily show it in the animated series or any of the other things where she fights for love and she has this soft side to her.
Gotcha.
And that soft side to her is a part of her strength. And that's one of the things that makes Wonder Woman so great, because that's what makes her so different from some of these other guys throughout this whole thing. And so it's just I just loved it. I just loved that whole sequence. It was just such a great, it was filmed great. It looked beautiful. I love how everything played out. She fights for love, and to say something like that she believes in love, and the way that everything plays out, it even manages not to be really cheesy. It is really easy to make that scene super cheesy.
Right, yeah.
And it does not happen in this movie. They do such a good job in that sequence to really unleash her and to show that who she is and have that part of her and still have her strength at the same time is just beautifully done. I just really enjoyed that. That was my favorite scene in the movie, and I thought it was just fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and let you go with your likes, and I'll probably interject here. So let's go ahead and get into your likes.
Okay. Well,
before I start taking them all.
Well, just sort of continuing on that, I thought really, I enjoyed the whole film, but I think maybe my favorite scene was when she and Steve are talking and they can't hear each other because of that explosion.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that was where the movie went from being really good to being something special.
Yes.
Where it's like, why, I had this feeling even then, and, the main fight scene hadn't even taken place yet. But I remember sitting there when that scene happened, and I was like, why can't we have more superhero movies like this?
Yeah.
Because it was just so much fun. I really thought that there was great balance between everything, between the fighting, between parts that are funny,
and the story,
and
how it plays out.
Because it's great seeing her like in a dress that's like in a dress of the day.
Yeah.
And I mean that's just. That was just such a hilarious scene, but
and there's a lot of scenes like that with her, just the fish out of water stuff.
Right, the fish out of water. But I also thought too that they could have gone, one way too far when it came to the fact that there was such inequality.
Yes.
In that day and age, and I thought that it was like right where it needed to be.
Yeah.
To where she was, and like how Steve got it, but that was but they had bigger stuff they had to deal with at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it had a surprising amount of balance there.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I really liked were the fight sequences. I just thought everything was really cool, and I could have watched another hour easily of that movie if it was just them fighting and duking it out. But, it looks like we're going to get a lot of that even in the Justice League. But, I don't think story-wise it's going to be anywhere near
I don't think so. I don't think so either. And I definitely agree. I really love the choreography of this also, especially specifically giving the Amazons a fighting style that's original looking. Like everything is like almost gymnast style. So it's not only is it graceful, but it's like powerful. It's like watching like a freaking gym, like Simone Biles, who's like this little woman, for on our Olympic team, yet she can jump 12 feet in the air, so right. You can see like the power in her, and you see that in the style of the Amazons and how they fight, and it's just so awesome. It makes it look different from anything else, and I really enjoyed that too.
And then again, the theme, I really like that guitar theme, which they established for her in Batman versus Superman. I mean, she totally steals the show there. I have a feeling she's going to be stealing the next one too.
Yep, I believe so too.
All right, I'll yield my time to the gentleman from Oklahoma.
This movie was great, man, and I think this is just a good way for us to just transfer into the ratings.
Okay,
and just it's. Although the movie, I think, suffers from really basic filmmaking problems, it's just so good, and it stays true to the character, and it just she becomes Wonder Woman. And the thing that's so great about this is there's a lot of talk about, like, when I'm at work and I'm discussing with Mark, who's on the podcast every once in a while, we keep saying these things. Like, before this movie came out, we kept saying, well, I hope Wonder Woman can save the DC cinematic universe, which is absolutely ridiculous to say when you have Superman and Batman. But she definitely does it. She did it in Batman vs. Superman, and she did it in this movie. She is such an amazing character, and she always has been. And they really did her justice in this, and I really think I think this movie alone automatically gave Justice League more money. I think that's how good this movie was already.
Yeah. I mean, Zack Snyder did do the story for this.
Yeah.
He did some writing for it, but it felt totally, there were multiple people working on it.
Yeah.
And now he isn't, unfortunate, sadly, because of what happened with his daughter, he's not even finishing that movie, so we just don't really know how that's going to go. And, it's sad that's the case.
Yeah, he just had to deal with his family issues, and it sucks, but we'll have to see what happens. So I'm gonna say see it, buy it. So what do you got?
Yeah, I'll give it a see it, buy it too. I think I'd probably go and watch it again if someone wanted to go.
I know, I would love to go see it again. It was just really good, man. Thoroughly well done movie, and it is one of my favorite DC movies that they've done. She's done, like, Marvel's been taking up all the air out of the room when it comes to cinematic universes.
Right. Well, I think, it's tough to places, but I mean, it's up there.
It's up there.
I think it's right up there with Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's such a good movie. All right, man. You ready to go ahead and sign out then?
Sign out.
All right.
No, wait. I've got lines.
If anybody wants to contact us, you can always get a hold of us on halfpastpodcast.com.
It's my John Hammond. Like us on Facebook.
Rate us on iTunes and Google Play.
We're on Stitcher and Loopsin.
Email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. That's halfpastcast@gmail.com.
Tweet us at halfpastpodcast.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for your support. The next movie, we're going to try to get Cars 3.
I did not
we should do
the Cars 3.
Do you think
did I? Was
Cars
I drunk when I said it? Oh, all right.
Do you think we can do that one?
Yeah, we
I don't
can.
know. We'll have to see what happens. I'm actually going out of town next week. So
okay. It's just moving right along here, aren't we? Hop, 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 hop.
Oh man, our schedules have just been so mixed up lately. It's a little unfortunate. I bet it was. All right. This is the Half Past Podcast. Shout out. Oh, right. I love how it's like an inside shout out. This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.
Oh.